Hello, everyone. Welcome to CoffeeBreak YXE. I'm your host, Ian Roach. Today is Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021. Probably didn't have to add the year there. 2021, the year of the pandemic. I guess 2020, really. But anyway, welcome. Thank you so much for wherever you're tuning on YouTube or Facebook. We really appreciate that you're here. Our guest this morning is going to be David Fisher. David is the executive director of Concentus Citizenship Education Foundation. It seems now more than ever, we need an organization like Concentus, and we're going to chat with David about the work they're doing. As always, this is your show. We encourage you to make comments, questions. Comment in the comments or ask questions in the comments on your Facebook or YouTube interface. And if we can, we'll use them in our conversation. But before we get to David, we have a sponsor of the show now, and we're going to do that right now. So here it is. RDL Photos is your affordable local photographer for any occasion, with packages starting at just $40. Anyone can afford professional level photos for any occasion in life. If you're looking for the crisp new headshot or just want to get some photos of having fun with your friends, RDL Photos is the place to go. For more information, check them out online. Just type rdl.photos in your web browser of choice, or find them on Instagram at rdl.photos. That's on Instagram at rdl.photos. Book fast. Summer spots are filling up quickly. And as a note, I actually visited Riel's website today. Great photography. If you're into slow, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Time lapse. That's the word I'm looking for. Some beautiful time lapse photography at nighttime, some with grain elevators, and it's wonderful. That's rdl.photos. Okay, with that out of the way, and thank you so much, RDL, for being a sponsor. I'm going to welcome to our show David Fisher, Executive Director of Concentus Citizenship Education Foundation. David, how are you today?
Very well. Thank you for having me in. It's great to be on CoffeeBreak YXE.
And it's great to have you here. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on. I guess the first question, let's pretend we're getting in an elevator on the main floor. We're going up, let's say, the 17th floor. So press the button.
Okay, 17 floors. I'll still treat that like about 30 seconds.
17. Also, it's a fast elevator. Maybe we have a stop at 10 and 13. Lucky 13.
I like it. I'll take it. Concentus. It's about citizenship education. And most people will, of course, it's logical, they'll confuse that with education for new Canadians. That's not what citizenship education as a phrase means. It's about what it is to be the best possible, your best possible Canadian. So citizenship education, as Concentus has shaped it, is K-12 resources supporting effective citizenship education in the classroom. And I guess in the spirit of an elevator pitch, might be fair to describe that as bringing an exploration and understanding of social justice, pluralism, and multiculturalism into the classroom, supporting teachers in that endeavor. So I don't know if we're on the 16th or 17th floor right now, but that's my pitch.
We're getting close, but it's all interesting. And I want to get back to we'll come back and maybe circle around to how the curriculum was created and that whole process. But
sure.
But it's kind of an obvious question, but I think it still needs to be asked. Why do we need engaged citizens?
Well, you can break that down in a lot of ways. I love those fundamental questions because that's very much what citizenship education contends with at the heart of it. So democracy is fragile. That's there's something very, very demonstrable about that when you look internationally now. Countries that have been historically strong democratically are beginning to weaken that way. Turkey, Hungary, Poland, they're demonstrating that democracy is not some infallible bulletproof state that once a country achieves it, it can never change. I think it's fair to look south of the border to the United States to see what state of crisis it can be in when you look at it through a democratic lens. So the notion that democracy is not guaranteed, that it is fragile, that it needs to be vouchsafed and safeguarded is very much at the heart of the motive for why you would want your youth, your students, to have citizenship as part of their education continuum.
Okay, let's leave that, because I want to unpack that a bit more and maybe talk about, I would argue that in the state, for example, Hungary, that Viktor Orban probably thinks what he's doing is democracy, but that could be an interesting conversation. But let's get back to the curriculum. So I presume a group of people, concerned citizens, got together and said, we need something, and chose that this is an area to focus on. And I guess the first part of Concentus, from my mind, would probably get that curriculum going. And how was that process, and what did that look like?
No, that's a very good observation, Ian. I mean, you're absolutely right. Curriculum, we all know that word curriculum. Curriculum is legislation. Curriculum is what must be taught in classrooms. And that is the product of legislation. That's not made up by every school and teacher. Saskatchewan has its legislated curriculum, as do all provinces. It's a provincial responsibility. And it changes very slowly. The last major update from the K to 9 grades was done in 2010, and it was very well done. I think they were very progressive in the way they advanced that curriculum. But for example, curriculum for social studies in grades 11 and 12, literally the curriculum that's in place now that's telling teachers what they must teach was authored in 1990. I mean, it predated the personal computer, let alone cell phones.
That does seem a little dated, doesn't it?
It speaks to how glacially curriculum changes. So what Concentus is, and I must say, Concentus is the product of the Saskatchewan Human Rights Commission. Judge David Arnott, the chief commissioner there, along with some counterparts, was the genesis of that, and through the Human Rights Commission, it was created and built by again under the auspices of the Human Rights Commission, by teachers and educators, with input and oversight from every conceivable education stakeholder you could imagine. The Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations, the government, of course, government of Saskatchewan funded a great deal of it. The universities, the school boards associations, as I say, a vast range of really meaningful stakeholders were all part of the oversight, if not the production of the resources. And the reason we created resources that align directly with the social studies curriculum that exists. So it's, I think of it as somewhat of you could call it almost a short circuit. Take the existing curriculum, take what teachers need to do, and provide them resources that allow them to do that while also exploring pluralism, multiculturalism, social justice, critical thinking, all of those aspects of good citizenship.
So the curriculum is in alignment with, the resources are in alignment with the curriculum, is that it? And
that's very much that's the secret sauce, because teachers are phenomenally busy. And have been for a very long time. So the prospect of approaching a teacher and asking them to teach this thing in your class, it's just a little bit of extra thing. Just, it just needs a little bit more of your time in the day. That is validly a conversation ending proposition. Teachers are so overwhelmed as it is. So by creating these resources that align with curriculum, you're not asking a teacher to do something extra. You're making it easier, in fact, for them to do something they have to do already. And that's been a very common refrain from the teachers who use the resources.
So then as part of the story, you have the resources available, and I snooped around your website again today. Hadn't been there for a few months. It's part of the thing is get the message out to teachers that, hey, the curriculum is here.
These resources are here. They align with curriculum. They're all online. They are free to use. We want to remove every impediment that possibly could be there that would prevent a teacher from embracing them. We do our best to provide as much what they call professional development, teaching teachers how to effectively use these things. That's a very important aspect to it, to seeing these things effectively used. I'm gonna try and screen share here for a moment, Ian, with your indulgence, if that's okay.
Yeah, not a problem. We'll give it a shot here, and it should be okay.
And
we did it in rehearsal, so I think we could do it now.
It's an image that are a couple images that I think really demonstrate what I'm talking about.
Okay, now
Are you
go
able to
ahead and
see?
see the first image. I'll pop it up here. Yep, there we go.
Okay.
Looks like a
Now that's
classroom
a
photo.
classroom from 1971. That's pretty close to my vintage, and my we'll say my demographic matches most of the MLAs in Saskatchewan right now.
That could be my grade 2 class from Ontario.
There you go. A lot of us will find that familiar. This is today's classroom.
Okay.
This is a perfect demonstration of why we need to evolve how we're supporting our teachers and what a contemporary classroom looks like,
right.
and what needs to be taken into account to provide a solid, proper, strong education for all students. I'll just show you two more, and then we'll go back to live. This also would not be that unusual. I could imagine this being a photograph of my class. You see the little projector there?
I have to point out the overhead projector. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Indeed. So, that's one way of teaching. They call that didactic teaching. The teacher talks at the front of the class, the students sit and pay attention and passively receive. This image is a much better illustration of what's at the heart of Concentus, at least. It's student-driven learning. They call it inquiry-based learning. And as I said, it's driven by the students. Yes, it encompasses contemporary technology, and as I say, the students, they take ownership of their learning. So those images say a lot, and
interesting.
They're very helpful.
So I pulled something off your website here, and it's kind of it's a long chunk of a sentence, but and I think the pictures kind of speak to this, so this might be a good time to segue into it. On the website, I saw this: we need citizens that, and here's where it's from your website, continuously strive to understand the dynamics of change in society. And it goes on from there. But what struck me is this dynamics of change, and that perhaps citizenship, it's evolved.
That's something that needs to be taken into account in education. We talked earlier about how glacially slow legislation, curriculum legislation changes. That's the nature of that beast. But society, our culture, our democracy even alters at a much faster pace than education can keep up with. I know every generation feels like it's experiencing the most tumultuous social change ever, whether it's Elvis in the 50s or the Beatles in the 60s or, what have you. But I think one could make a valid argument that social media, that combined with the technological rampant development, that's altering us socially and culturally faster than anything ever has in the past. So we need to equip students to handle that, to explore that, to manage that as best they can. We're seeing obvious and examples in plain view of the risk and the dangers. The idea of that phrase "fake news" was co-opted by American Republicans, but the veracity of what we see on our screens, that needs to be taken with a very critical eye. And critical thinking is part of good citizenship.
I'm going to kind of put a couple thoughts out there, and then if it's okay, I'll beg your indulgence. We're going to mention another sponsor, but
you bet.
You talk about misinformation, and the question is going to be, I don't know if it's a chicken and egg question. Does an engaged citizen that's gone through the resources, do they help? Does it help an individual figure out what is misinformation and what is reality? And
very much so. We use the phrase a Concentus graduate. We imagine this student that has gone from kindergarten to grade 12 with this type of learning, part of what they're learning along with reading, writing, and arithmetic.
So the chicken and egg part, and maybe we'll answer this after the break, but does engaged citizenry come before or after critical thinking, or is it all kind of
a good question? Is it prompted by, or is it a response to? Yeah. I think we've always needed critical thinking.
David, if you don't mind, I beg my indulgence. If you just want to stand by, we're going to recognize one of our other sponsors, and we'll come back. We'll talk a bit more about that. But first, looking for something great to do near Saskatoon, want to get out of the city, bask in Saskatchewan nature? Boy, I sure do. Take the family or a friend out to Petrovka Orchard. They have a great cafe that serves homemade food, beautiful store. And the store is full of gourmet apple products and other local products and a large variety of ice cream treats. They do really cool things with the ice cream too. You can have like an ice cream taco. After you fill your belly, take a walk to the riverfront beach and enjoy the most beautiful walking trails around the apple orchard. Petrovka Orchard is only 40 minutes north of Saskatoon, right on Highway 12 at the base of the Petrovka Bridge. We're open daily 10 to 6. Cafe, reminder that the cafe is closed on Wednesdays. If you want more information, you can check out petrovkaorchard.com. Great place, great food, great cinnamon buns, great Ducapore bread, everything else. David, thank you for your indulgence.
You're making me hungry now. That sounds
before
good.
the chicken. Engaged citizens, critical thinking.
I think the need for engaged critical thinking citizenry has always been there. I recall learning that, when the Gutenberg printing press was first developed, we always think of how that printing allowed the propagation of the Christian Bible. But I recall being told that the first things that were printed by the Gutenberg printing press were essentially tabloid newspapers, stories of werewolves in the woods and things like that. So, so there's always been that sort of sensationalist side
the Gutenberg Inquirer.
Yes, essentially.
I didn't know that.
So even how many centuries ago was that? The need for some critical thinking was in play.
That's incredible. Sorry, I'm still thinking back to the Gutenberg Inquirer. Okay, so if I'm a teacher and I want to take advantage of your resources, where do I start?
It's as simple as visit our website, www.concentus.ca. All the resources are there. They're categorized by grade level. Their alignment to curricular outcomes and indicators is clearly stated. They are it's in English and also French immersion, and also version for Francescois, a unique French-speaking culture, and curriculum here in Saskatchewan, as well. So, go ahead. I was just going to say as well, we've also adding to and constantly providing lesson plans and material developed by teachers with the resources in their own classroom that has been very successful for them, and they've shared with us in order to share with other teachers, either to inspire them or, in whatever help that might be. So visit the website, see the resources. It's all there, and we want any teacher interested to embrace it. Reach out for any kind of support if you think that's necessary, and that's the sort of thing we want to see make happen.
Wonderful. I can't let you go before we chat about the pandemic and how that impacted Concentus. Was there an impact?
No, very much so. Of course, like everyone else and every other organization. And again, because we're so closely tied with education, and we've got close relationships with the school boards, both in Saskatoon and Regina and elsewhere in the province. We did need to, I guess maybe the phrase stand down is appropriate. School boards and schools needed to, out of pure necessity, focus on student well-being, student engagement. They had to really get back to the most basic fundamentals. So it was the right thing to do to push pause, as we said. But now that we see life returning to normal a bit by bit, and we've all got hope that that's going to happen sooner and sooner, looking forward to the development continuing.
And of course, today's the last day of school. I thought in-person school, I should say, for my kids. So we have the summer. Are you thinking by fall it's kind of all cylinders firing for Concentus?
It would be great for that to be the case, indeed. And we're always trying to develop new and additional resources to support teachers. So looking forward to seeing more of that added over the course of the summer as well.
Okay. You're a registered charity. Can
we are
donate to Concentus?
Indeed, they can. Indeed, they can. We are a charity. We have been powered for some time now by the great generosity of the Scharf family here in Saskatoon. Sherwood and Elaine donated a foundational gift of $1 million in 2017 that has seen incredible development and really has what's driven us to be able to be in the classrooms. But as a good friend says, one pays one's bills with money, not sunshine. So we're always looking for additional support where it's available. And as I say, we're a full-on charity. Everything goes into the resources.
Terrific. And fairly nimble organization, I'd imagine.
One needs to be, and that I know that can sound a bit contradictory because education, as I've said, can be such a static thing. But no, very much so. Citizenship education and the resources for it support teachers in some very delicate work. Whether it's bringing an understanding and an exploration of reconciliation into the classrooms, issues of racism and bigotry, all of those aspects that one would certainly imagine and quickly see as the purview of the Saskatchewan Human Rights Commission. Those are things that we want to support teachers being able to confidently explore with their students in grade appropriate ways in Saskatchewan.
That's probably a good place to leave it right there, David.
Indeed. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Ian.
Not a problem.
And I've really enjoyed your questions.
It's been a very good, well, thank you. It's been a very interesting conversation. I think I started out by introducing you saying it feels like we need something like Concentus now more than ever. And maybe it's just because it's my reality, it's my generation, that's how I feel. But I do think that in the last decade or so, things have changed, and I wish you well. I wish Concentus well. I hope people will support you because we certainly, from my perspective, need you and need engaged citizens. I think we engage, if I get my kids engaged, and the other thing is not to talk in movie theaters, then I'll be successful.
Well said, Ian. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. We'll see you again. Take care.
Indeed.
That's it. Thank you so much, everybody that watched. No matter whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, we really appreciate you, and you are supporting us by watching. This show will be up and available in replay. So please, if you're interested and thought it was a wonderful show, please suggest it to your friends and give them a link and they can watch. If you want to support us, feel free to go on over to our website, noyxe.com. Feel free to buy a t-shirt and we get a couple bucks to keep No YXE going. If you feel like you have a business that could benefit from sponsorship on one of our podcasts, one of our shows, please feel free to reach out to us at, and I think I have an address. Well, this is for media releases, but it'll go to the same place, news@noyxe.com, and we'll chat with you. Coming up in 36 minutes time is Nezreen Essa with Let's Chat. It's our weekly show in Arabic. And later on this week, we have Sportsline YXE at Thursday at 12:15 with Linda Walker. I think that's it for me. Not No YXE. CoffeeBreak YXE is back Thursday at 10. We will see you then as I struggle to find the extra. Here it is. Bye for now.